everybody. I'm your host James, aka Slim. This is the reality check, and today we're doing things a little different. Normally, we are, in a room by ourselves talking about the problems with teachers and such. Today we are going out and getting your opinions on what you think your problems are, and we're seeing how we can fix it.
My name is James.
I'm Micah.
Micah, what would you say are some of your biggest stresses getting in the way of you being a productive student?
Just staying on task, really, just staying focused, to be honest. Just trying to stay focused. Really, I don't really struggle as much now that I'm here. At bigger high schools I did, but this school's a lot easier for me, so I'm not really struggling here.
And at the bigger high schools, how did you cope with that problem?
I didn't really. That's why I came here. It was a little struggle over there. So then came here, found it easier. So now I'm back on track, you know what I'm saying?
What would you say is the main difference between this school and the other schools that's helping you deal with it?
Smaller teachers are able to help each and everybody individually and stuff like that.
I'm here with
Daniel Morales.
Daniel. What would you say are some of your biggest stresses getting in the way of you being a productive student?
Time constraints.
Okay. And how do you deal with that problem?
Try to get stuff done early.
I'm here with
Eddie.
All right, Eddie. What are some of the biggest stressors or problems that get in the way of you being a successful student?
I feel like personally it's just like stuff that goes on like after school or like at home. But other than that, like at school, I really don't have no struggles with school. But that's just my own perseverance.
Okay. And how do you deal with those problems, Eddie?
I just try to focus on what's important, like schoolwork, homework, like things I need to do instead of like doing whatever I want at home. But it's really about it.
All right, absolutely. So just keeping your priorities straight.
Just keeping it straight, yeah.
All right. I'm here with
Scarlett. Melanie.
What would you guys say are some of your biggest stressors that are getting in the way of you being a productive student?
I think a lot of problems like at home and like also like some things how they are taught, like sometimes I don't understand like certain things if they're not like hand on or like if they're not like meant for me to understand,
I think, I'm not gonna lie, I think it would low-key kind of sometimes be me, just because like I procrastinate a lot and like I'm like sometimes I'll be lazy on like some assignments, but like I just need to force myself to do it, yeah, so.
And how do you guys cope with that and deal with those problems?
I kind of just I listen to a lot of music. Like I find music helps me like do my work better and like help me learn better, especially if I'm like doing something by myself or
Like I low-key kind of agree with her. Like I low-key do the same. Like I listen to music too, like if I'm doing work on my own or like homework or something. Like it doesn't have to be like hype music or like anything like that. Like it could be like even music like piano music or something like that. Just like something in the background so that I could be like, oh, okay, yeah, like, let me do my work, Like.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because I feel like sometimes being in complete silence trying to do your work, I get distracted by all the things that are going on. But if I have music to preoccupy my mind while I'm doing it, it helps me focus on my work for sure.
Puppy monkey baby.
What's your name?
My name is Trip, also known as Josh.
What are some of your biggest stressors getting in the way of you being a productive student?
I feel like a lot of overwhelming work. I feel like sometimes like it feels like too much like weighing on me. Like, yeah, I have to get this amount of credits, but to get that, like I have to do all this amount of work, and it kind of feels like a mountain sometimes. You know what I mean? But other than that, it's pretty stress like free for me. But yeah, that's really the only stress inducer.
Okay. And how do you deal with that stress?
I just kind of break things down into segments. Like, I'm like, all right, I'll get this done today. Like 3 assignments today, 3 assignments tomorrow, and then like 4 on Friday just to like finish off the week, you know what I mean? Kind of just break it down. I find it easier to do that way. But yeah.
Here with?
Michael Benitez, B3.
All right, Michael. What are some of your biggest stressors and problems that get in the way of you being a productive student?
I'd say getting to school on time, getting all the sleep you could, and also trying to have free time after school. So, getting to school on time mainly.
Yeah. And how do you deal with those problems?
I started going to bed early and setting the earlier alarm also, and making sure I time it right when I start walking to school.
All right. I am here with.
Isaac Harris.
All right, Isaac. What are the biggest problems that get in the way of you being a successful student?
Some of the biggest problems for me is not being disciplined, and I could fix that by doing everything opposite of what I do. That's getting in my way already, so that's how I deal with that. So.
All right, so you deal with it by just making sure your priorities are straight, things like that?
Yeah.
All right. I am here with.
Gabriel.
All right, Gabriel. What are some of the biggest problems that get in the way of you being a successful student?
Being on my phone all the time,
How do you deal with that problem?
but not having my phone on me and not using it.
All right. I'm here with.
Yair.
All right. What are some problems that get in the way of you being a successful student?
I think my biggest problem right now, I think that I feel like is just me not being motivated to do anything like work, just being lazy, not having any motivation right now. Yeah.
All right. And how do you deal with those problems?
Well, I feel just the way I, fix those problems or, deal with those problems is just finding motivation by looking at, like family members where they ended up being, like, somewhere lower, and just seeing what I could do to be better than them, just to be in a better spot than them,
Just finding self-motivation.
Just finding some motivation and, seeing where I could get,
All right. For sure. Thank you.
We're now here with one of our counselors, Mr. Esparza. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
So, Mr. Esparza, we know how the students have answered their question. You know what I mean? What are the problems that get in the way of you being a successful student? What do you think their problems are?
So I always start, and both myself and Ms. Cleaver always start at attendance. So we're always going to look at attendance. How many days are you here? Are you guys earning credits? That's the easiest thing to look at is attendance. After attendance, as a counselor, I usually look at are you getting sleep? Are you eating? And are you getting some sort of exercise? So I just want to know, are you getting sunlight? Those are the basic needs of a human being, right? So if you're getting enough sleep, cool. So most teenagers need at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep minimum. And then are you getting food in your stomach before you get here? The last thing is, are you getting outside? Are you spending too much time indoors? Then we need to get you outside. Those are basic needs. That's the easiest place for me to start with students, right? So that's where we start. When I sit down with my students, I want to know, how are you doing? How are you doing as a person outside of school? I don't really care about school until I can get your basic needs met. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. Mental health is super important. You can't focus on improving any part of your life until you can improve your mental health.
Absolutely. And then, so if we can get you healthy, then we can get you into a seat, and then we can get you engaging, then we can get you working with the curriculum that we have here. So it's always basic needs. The other thing that usually contributes to a lack of attendance is a sense of belonging. So if you have friends, or if you have someone that you feel like you're connected to at the school, whether it be an adult or a peer, one of the other students, you're usually going to want to be here. And that's the other thing I look at with attendance is, do you have a sense of belonging? Do you guys want to be here? As we kind of tease out those basic needs, then we can start getting you guys in school, getting you engaged. But that's usually where I start. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I feel like that answers it pretty well. And it seems to line up, honestly, with some of the stuff I was hearing from the kids. A lot of them were talking about mainly procrastination, but one of them definitely mentioned getting to school on time and getting enough sleep. They were mentioning family problems at home, things like that would affect your mental health. So
Yeah, absolutely. All those things come into play, not just with students, right? Even adults. If we have stuff going on at home, it's hard not to bring it to work with us. Some people are very good at that, and some people are not. It just depends on the person, right? So, it typically, if a student, and here's the thing is as adults, it becomes easier because we've gone through it before. So we begin to we have tools in our tool belt to deal with at-home issues, and we've learned to deal with and cope. For instance, if I'm having a stressful day and I could feel it in my chest or my stomach, I'm probably gonna do a breathing exercise while I'm sitting at my desk before my student even walks into my room. I'm gonna breathe 8 seconds in. I'm gonna hold for 4, release for 4, and I'm gonna slowly go through that before I even bring the student into me, because I know I need to bring myself down and I need to calm down before a student gets into my office, right? So that I can think clearly. That's something that I picked up through college, right, through years of experience of just being a human being. So it helps to go through these experiences, and then you just kind of learn to cope with them and deal with them.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And that kind of actually helps me lead to my next question.
Mm-hmm.
Is we're aware of the problems that these students have.
Mm-hmm.
We know what's going on. What are some things that these students can do to help cope with those problems, to help deal with it and come to school and actually be a successful student?
So as I mentioned, breathing always helps, because if you could slow your breathing down, you're good. I think more practical in class. I think one of the biggest things that our students don't do that I learned to do in college was ask questions. I know it sounds cliche, but I heard this from my professors, and the question that you have, someone else probably has, right? So we're always embarrassed, especially in high school, because of the social environment in high school, but we're always afraid to ask questions because we don't want to look dumb.
Mm-hmm.
But if you just ask that question, you're actually helping out the people around you. This is something that I had to learn to do in college. Once I learned to ask questions, it really helped me in college. The other thing that helped me a lot was having a structure, having a schedule, having a plan. So if I needed to get this assignment done for English, and I know that I need to write this paper, I needed to have a plan for that. I couldn't just know that I needed to do it. I needed to plan, okay, by Wednesday I need to be done with the rough draft, right? And then I need to revamp that rough draft over and over. So having a plan is one. Asking questions, I think, it is so essential to your education and your growth and your development. The other thing is, and this is huge, and I hear this a lot with students, is not being afraid of failure. We don't grow from being perfect. We only grow in moments of failure, right? So we have to fail in life. And so the sooner that we become okay with failure, the sooner we're going to start to grow a little bit faster.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. I kind of definitely resonate with the not asking questions, and the other one being scared of failure.
Yeah.
I feel like those two are kind of related a little bit in my opinion, you know what I mean? I feel like very, very, very often I hear it directly from students that they don't want to ask questions. They were never taught to actually interact with the teacher for some reason.
Right. And that's something that will shift and change in college, right? So,
Yeah.
and I think that's something that's different here at Canyon Ridge, is you do have very caring professionals. So you have educators that want you to engage, but it's a two-way street, right? So the educator can't always be teaching at you. They need you to also interact, and that's where the questions come into play. And it's really important to ask questions.
Absolutely. Well, Mr. Esparza, I appreciate you coming in and sharing your opinion and, you know, giving us some insight on how to help ourselves become, you know, successful students.
Absolutely. I hope it was useful, and I hope it helps you guys. If you ever need anything, you know where the counseling office is, you know where your teachers are. All of us are here to help you guys.
And if you don't know, front right of the school, next to the main office.
That's where you can find us.
Thank you, sir.